Internet. Welcome, welcome to another episode 11 of the Any Key. I am your host, Drekken or Draconis, and I am joined with the awesome and ever amazing Navneet
Hello.
and the last minute stand-in forecourt jester.
Welcome
Woo!
back. Yeah.
So thank you, good jester, for showing up. It's absolutely amazing that you could make it here. How are you, man?
Always happy to contribute to your productions here, Mr. Drake. But 1 minute notice? 1 minute notice. That's a new one for you, even for you.
You know what? The thing is, before we went live with the show, that was the first thing I was gonna say. I was like, you know what? He's gonna say when. I'm gonna say 1 minute, and he's gonna be like, what? Um. So you guys,
Lucky, I love you.
I'm glad you have. You're awesome enough to join us. So, also those of you guys who are watching this episode, uh, make two notes. The first note: this is episode 11. We've made it through 10 episodes, grueling, but here we are.
Woo!
Woo! And
Oh, the
second,
confetti here still.
oh my god! And the second is that because we had to bring Jester in at the last minute, the cameras are going to be doing. You're going to be seeing. I was going to be seeing.
You got pro producer there.
You're gonna see a couple of back end work, but bear with us. So let's pretend like it's not happening. So guys, Nav, what's going on with you? Tell me, what's happening with you?
Not much. Weather's getting nice, so yay, we get to wear dresses.
What's going on in the esports world for you? What's happening for you? Tell us. Give me,
Well, the score launched Dota data last week. So if you didn't update your app yet, do that.
Wait, hold on. What?
You have to update your app to get the update.
Oh, okay. I thought you said
Like normal things.
Oh,
Yes.
I thought you were saying I didn't get the update. Like you were specifically targeting me to say I couldn't have the. Because I used to bug Kyle. I'm like, where's the Dota 2? Actually, no. First I was like, where's the iOS? And that took forever. And then I was like, where's the Dota 2? And now they have the Dota 2 and the iOS. I don't have an iOS device anymore, but still
It's because
feels
you're
good.
too cool and Canadian and
It's
BlackBerry.
no, that's it. I totally was
What?
like, I have a
Yeah,
BlackBerry.
he got a BlackBerry. He was
I
like,
swear.
But
just a
what does
phone I
that have
got.
to do with Canadian?
Because
It's a
BlackBerry's
it's a Canadian
Canadian company. Or
It
RIM
has
is a
nothing to
Canadian
do with
company.
who uses it.
That's what Drekken said. He's like, now I'm more Canadian.
That's
Oh,
it's
God.
true. That's exact. She's right. Actually, that's exactly what it came
So
down
he's
to.
he's like that much more Canadian than I am now because he has
It's
a BlackBerry.
I
I
actually
missed that memo.
also ride a beaver and I drink maple syrup in the morning, whole with nothing else.
Damn.
That's
And
it.
nothing else.
Nothing else. Just the maple syrup. I take shots of maple syrup to start my day.
Off
Just
the
wanna
belly
say-
button of.
Off of the belly button of a wallaby, which has nothing to do with Canada. So,
No,
anyways,
said that
let's jump right into it. So, guys, critical update. This is where we give you a bit of the look of what's going on in the ESchamp community. As always, in ESchamp, we have events and tournaments going on. This weekend, we have the Tourcraft Cup online round. Uh, which will lead into the core bracket, which is happening at Enthusiast Gaming on May 16th. So the interesting thing about this round is there's going to be a prize pool. Usually our online cups don't have prize pools. This one will have actually $100 plus a free ticket into EGL for first and second. So it's pretty slick. You get to jump in. The EGL core tournament, Tourcraft Cup at EGL will have $1,000 prize pool, so that's pretty much higher than most of the other Tourcraft Cups thus far, making it obviously the highest. Um, I'm actually kind of excited for EGL. It's been a bumpy ride on the working end, but we're almost there. We're almost there. It's exciting. Nav, are you going?
I'm unsure.
Maybe.
I was gonna say, it's like, are you?
I should figure that out.
Isn't it like 2 weekends from now?
Yeah. Well, we'll talk after. Nav, I don't know what you want to do, but we'll figure it out. I could use someone to take pictures if you want to
Okay.
take pictures.
You
Thank
own a
you.
camera. You satisfy the requirement.
Use your phone. Snip, snip, snip. Um, so let's move on to the first segment, which is Upvote. Upvote's where we pick something that's been floating around Reddit and we decide to talk about it and give it a bit of talking love or a bit of spotlight. So first thing, TI5 prize pool currently sitting around 5 million. It's actually probably higher since I brought up this.
Can I find it live?
Yeah, sure.
Live prize pool. Let's see what happens.
Can you find it? Well, while Sean is looking for the link, let's give it a little talk about it. So we started off at 1.6 million. I guess the first thing to discuss is last year we ended off at 10 million.
It's like 10.9, I think, or something.
10.9 million. 10.9
Yep.
million. Now we're barely in. How many days has it been? Like 6 days since it's launched. I'm gonna throw it out there, and we're at 5.5 million. So
It's as of right now 5.919.
oof,
$400,000 since when was this? May 4th, which is yesterday.
wow. So already we're outdated information as of before. So I've seen a couple of things going around the internet in terms of tweets and predictions of where we're going to hit. I think that's right now. There are two bets going on in the Dota world. A, how much money will this raise? And B, who's going to get invited to this?
Let's all make our
Yeah, whatever.
estimate. Yeah.
Let's make our estimate of where we think the TI5 prize pool is going to land by the end of it.
I want to be biased and say 13, but no, I'm going to say 15.6 million.
15 points. That's so specific. This is like the Price is Right. So I'm actually gonna say. So the rules are.
Come on down.
You can't you can't. How does the Price is Right rules go? You can't be higher than
Whoever gets closest to
whoever
it.
gets closest, but you can't overshoot it.
Yeah, if you're over, then it's like
All right.
you lose.
So I'm gonna say 20 million.
What?
I'm gonna say 20 million. The price.
When is this again? August?
Yes. So I'm gonna say the
You think they
TI5
can get 15 more million in 4 months?
in 4 months. Absolutely. I think in 4 months we're gonna hit 20 million. That's it. You heard it first on the Any Key. Drekken calls it 20 million for TI5. You can source it here. Tell
How
all
about you,
your friends.
Jester?
I want to go a little lower than both of you. Because, I mean, like 10 million last year. So many people put so much money into it. Like, what is the chances that everyone's going to do at least as much as they did as last year? I'm a bit negative on that point.
And it's funny because that's gonna segue. As soon as you pick your bet, I'm gonna segue into a discussion point.
Let's go with 12.
12. Okay, so
Yeah.
Nav, how much did you choose? 13?
I said I wanted to say 13 to be biased because that's my favorite number, but I went with 15.6.
54. So, Mr. Director Delk, make sure you jot this down so when we actually have a future episode of when it's actually announced, we can point out who was closest on the Price is Right in terms of prize pool. I think actually you asked a really important question: is does this cut off early? I'm gonna assume it goes straight up to.
If I recall, it goes like basically up to the finals.
Like, I thought so too. Like I'm pretty sure it just goes straight up to it.
So 4 months, math is hard.
So originally, one of this episodes was going to be a discussion point on crowdfunding as a whole, but some things didn't fall through the way we wanted to, so we kind of morphed this into this episode as it is right now. But you brought up an interesting point, Jester. Are people going to put into the same amount of work that we saw last year? So my question to you guys here on this show is crowdfunding a prize pool a sustainable long-term solution?
Yes, but it
Um,
depends on
okay.
what your expectations are. If you expect more every time you have something of this, like you're basically nickeling and diming people repeatedly. So I suspect that will come to a close at one point, but I think we're probably good for another 5 cups.
Like, okay, so this, like, can we, the
Well,
international.
who's to say that down the road, like maybe a year from now, like Dota could be like a game that no one's even interested in, right? Like you never know how the esports market could change. So if you're like planning in terms of like a business plan and stuff, then crowdfunding isn't really sustainable in that way. If you want to like have forecasting and like actual.
Okay, actually, someone who's may have been following the scene a little bit closer to where we don't have to mirror. TI5 and TI4 are crowdfunded. Were TI1 through 3 also crowdfunded?
I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
Were they?
pretty sure.
How
Oh, where's
much?
the pools for those?
I was gonna say, that's my next question.
Okay, TI1 was not. I remember that. That was just like $1 million.
Mm.
Pretty sure immediately after that is when they did it.
Is it? Because I didn't notice this until TI4.
Let's
Are
find out.
are we looking at? Are we seeing that every year the prize pool is getting bigger? Is this something that's a trend in Dota? Like is that something that as Dota grows, the prize pool can be seen that it's going to grow? Obviously, it can't be exponential in the sense that it'll
Well, it's like
forever grow. I feel like
Valve started off the pool with 1.6 this year. If this game keeps growing, they could maybe start off the pool with like 2 million next year or 3 million something depending on
that's an interesting way
their
of looking
pool.
at it. I think that's interesting that every time to keep the growth going, Valve will just start it up a little bit higher, right? They'll give it a little bit of a boost to say, all right, well, we start off at 2.6 million or start off at 5 million or 10 million, whatever it is, to boost the numbers so that the prize pool is always ever growing. Uh,
So 2013, according to the site that I found, was the first crowdfunding, which I think was TI3.
TI3. Okay.
Yeah. And that it almost doubled. Like Valve put up 1.6, the community brought together 1.2, which made 2.8. Last year, boom, 10 million.
What's the like? That's the thing. What made that catalyst? I don't know. Unfortunately I'm not too acquainted to the Dota scene to make like a good assumption of what made that catalyst. It seems weird that you go from 2.8 million to 10 million in a course of a year. To me, oh, game release.
Advertising,
Okay.
past success, player base increasing over time, and just a heck of a lot of new features. Like what? Techies, I think, was the big like culmination point
No, I thought
last
Techies
year.
were. I'm pretty sure Techies wasn't Techies this year.
No,
Oh,
because this year hasn't happened yet.
rip.
So I mean, it could be any number of things. Just more desirable prizes, more desirable stretch goals, more desirable things, good feelings for people donating. Like
Yeah.
any number of factors came together.
And many
But
of
I
these,
also saw that like if you pay 27 instead, you start at level 50. So some people might be pooling $9
Incentives.
this year, some might be pooling in 27 instead. Next year there could be like a thing of $50 that gives you XYZ more as a starter.
one of the things that I was going to bring up, and we're hopefully going to highlight a lot of this episode was the trend of crowdfunding. We'll just use TI5 as a good sort of spring point, and we'll mention a little bit the other ideas. But one of the things that I'm seeing is that crowdfunding is becoming obviously more and more popular in esports. It's becoming more of a thing that
Just any realm in general.
yeah, like Kickstarter is
Yeah.
the new meta in terms of getting your product or your item off at the ground. But more and more people are in esports is turning to it as a new model. I think it's interesting to see how far we will go. I'm thinking that I think the community is gonna by necessity push this this crowdfund, the TI5 to 20 million, but I don't think it'll ever go higher than that. I think after this year, I think 20 million will be maybe not even this year, but I think that 20 million will be the cap. And unless Valve puts like 10 million up front, I
Mhm.
don't think
Which they
it'll.
won't.
Which they won't. I think that'd be kind
Or
of.
Valve could even like change their model and be like, we will match whatever
You
you
think so?
guys have raised.
You think
They
that's a
could
thing?
do something like that.
That's an interesting matter. Like to say whatever that whatever is raised, they counter it. So yeah, I like, totally can see that as a change, though. I don't know if that's what is ideal for the long run.
That's like a charity thing, though. That's not an esports thing.
That's what I mean. So it's a
You
but
would
okay.
want the game to be able to hold that on its own and like have the developer kind of back it a little more.
10 million's a lot to like back, or not 10 million, but like in like
Or
past
like stretch more than 1.6 million for the next year if the game is successful.
like even bringing in 1.6 million to me seems like a strong, like it's 1.6 million isn't, maybe to Valve it's easy change, but I was like to
Yeah.
Well,
the
yes, to Valve. But there's a reason that you don't see so many like what League of Legends is doing. You know, they put in 6, 7, 8 million as a prize pool, plus all the development costs, the travel, the hotel, the production, everything. It adds up. And they're clearly in the red, but they're Riot. They're Valve. They have that kind of chunk of change. The problem with expecting it to keep going up and up or capping or you keep expecting these bigger prize pools is that eventually the expectations are just going to get so ludicrous that nobody's going to be able to meet it.
that was my impression this year, that it's not something that I think the expectations are set high. People are like, what happens if we get less than 10 million this year? What is that? Does that signify
Well,
that Dota is
10
in the decline?
million is still a ton of money, especially for video games. When we had a $1 million tournament, we were just like, yes, that's awesome. Now we're at 10. It's just like now 20, 50, 100. How high will your expectation go when we were just happy with 1 million not 2 years ago?
So that's the question.
There's a lot of factors to
Well,
consider.
do we think?
It feels like a bubble. And if
Okay,
that bubble pops, what
I
happens?
completely agree. Definitely agree with that. Where I think it's a bubble. Do you think Valve should switch off of this model before it pops?
I think Valve is fine because
Really?
they put in a mill.
Right.
They make a ton of money because only 25% of every purchase goes into the pot, and the pot will go depending on the community.
Do we know how
They
much
have no
Valve has
expectations
paid so
other
far?
than 1.6 million. That's it.
Well, if you make the assumption that it was 25% of it only goes to the prize pool,
No, that's a fact. That's not an assumption.
oh, sorry. So 25% goes to the prize pool.
Right.
They put 1.6 million in last year.
Every year.
Every year they put 1.6 million.
Pretty sure every year.
Raised 10 million. So we got. You're gonna make me do math online. So 8.4 million is 25% of whatever they made. I don't have a calculator and I can't do that math in my head. So
Right.
whatever is
The prize pool was 10 million last time. They
right.
put in a million at bit. Call it 9. 9 times 4 or times 3 is basically looking at what their profit was. That's still a lot of money.
We need to come up with a number at the end of the day.
Duh.
Get us a number, Del. You figure it out while we move on to the next section. So
They made
27
about
million.
27.
So 9 times 3 is 27 million.
Yeah.
Valve made 27 million. The players made
10.
well between them. Like
Oh.
there's 10 million that was injected into the player base, which was great, amazing. But again, bubble. I don't want to see a bubble pop here.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I think it's really interesting, and I hope we can see. Like, I'm curious to know how the other tournaments, the championships, the majors, will be run. Will they also have prize pools like the same way?
The only ones that I've seen do this outside of Dota so far is Smite. And they had a $2.6 million tournament for the World Championships in January.
Yeah, I remember someone saying Smite was like the third highest prize pool or something like that. Or
It's 2.6 million.
in
And again, that is totally a great number. Do not bash that number. Do
so
not
funny.
expect 10 or 20 or 50 million.
It's funny because we're so I'm jaded. I'm not jaded. I mean, like I'm a little bit like only 2.6 million. Oh my god.
Right. That's the problem. That's when the bubble's going to start bursting.
Only 2.6 million. That's all you raised. Oh Jesus.
5-man team, 1.3 million. They make more than I just made in 5 years. Every single player.
It's funny, and it's funny because you don't come to sort of think about it like that. You're kind of like, wow, 2.6 million. Pff, that's it. But when you actually win that money, that is like a big deal to your life, no matter what. So
let's wrap this one up.
Let's move on to the next section here. Also an upvote. So Gfinity releases their interim financials. So this is a little odd duck when it comes to putting it on the show, but we like to talk on things on culture in esports. The reason why I decided to just bring this up or even discuss it is we don't have a lot of publicly traded esports companies. And because Gfinity is publicly traded, they have to release their numbers to us as the public. So, a really interesting little factor here going on with it here is essentially what you get to see is a large line of what's happening with the internals of Gfinity. Gfinity does a bit of a discussion talking about their plans for the future, and for those of people who don't speak financialese, um, which is
Yeah,
basically
please help.
so. Just I'm gonna give you the TLDR. A lot of it basically is being Gfinity is losing money, but it's expected money to lose. Like they're not saying that we lost money because esports is unsustainable. It's we've made this. It's basically they're saying we've made a lot of investment into esports this year. The View Arena being a large portion of it, building up their the View Arena, and they're betting on it. They're really banking that the View Arena is going to be the thing that sort of sets them apart. They put a lot that they say that actual um, tickets have gone up in terms of sales, in term from a lot more people are using their platform. Uh, they say they're using about 350,000 members approaching to their website. For those people who don't know, Gfinity has a very similar website platform to ESL Gaming or to Face It, where it's like a little mini league, or ESEA. If you guys, a lot of people are probably familiar with ESEA, um, where you can play into their the leagues, and then those lead up into their qualifiers that lets you play in the bigger against the invitation invited players. Some other key things to note from it is that their investors expected this kind of loss, so it's kind of on track, and they plan to continue chuck on. So they have more. They still have enough money. So my question to you guys is: do you think we should have a lot more publicly traded esports companies?
Well, that would mean that investors are like putting in money, right?
Well,
So
that's what essentially publicly traded essentially means that anybody
you're buying shares.
you're buying shares, right?
Yeah.
You buy into this company, you buy a share in an esports company, and then when it becomes, or if it becomes big, you cash out and you get those big dollars, right? The real esports money.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if we like I have my RSPs and I still need to invest them into things, but it's like I'm
Girl, sell
going
them
to.
RSPs. To buy them esports. You need to buy
So
some G Infinity.
before I make those investments, I want to read up on the economic scape of companies and see where my money will be best spent. So to make that calculation or that investment, I need to know where companies have done well and where they haven't done well to make like an educated guess. So if people want us investing into their companies, then it should be publicly traded.
Absolutely. So that's really the benefit of this document here, is to give people, this is unaudited. So when it actually gets audited, or it's like this is just basically the company saying out front, this is what is happening. And this
The
as
baseline.
baseline, essentially. An audited form would mean someone else, a third party, comes in and says, okay, this is actually legitly what happened. Um,
Like Price Waterhouse Coopers.
yeah, well, actually, that's the most recognizable third party that would indeed, yes, come in and just. But they also give like consulting. Um, and I think they also mentioned they made a deal in here with not Fox, but what's it called again? Fox's parent company, News Corp. One
Mhm.
of News Corp's British magazine, I think it's called The Sun, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
They made a deal with them. What I found was really interesting in this document is Gfinity actually outsources their their sponsorship and advertising, which is different from a lot of from what I've seen from esports. A lot of esports companies sort of keep that in house because you can obviously make more money that way, and they seem like, which means the majority of their revenue, or from what I'm gathering, is going to come from ticket sales, like actual physical people coming to this arena to watch esports on a regular basis and paying money essentially, um, which is a different model
Hmm.
than
I
we're
have a
used to.
question. Do you know what their stock price or
That's a
value is?
really good question. That's
They
a
say that they've lost 3 cents on every stock since inception.
3 cents per
if
stock.
I'm reading this
No, that
right.
sounds about right. But I actually do not know what it's trading
Loss per
as.
ordinary share to date is by December 2014, which is to date, is 3 cents.
Well, that's good. Well, hopefully we'll get an opportunity to check out what the actual shares are. But um, I'm really, you know what the interesting thing about this is in comparison to say MLG, right? MLG is a company that we, as anybody in esports, is very familiar with because they've been around forever, or at least it feels that way. But
Sorry, share price is apparently $25.
ooh,
Wow.
that's nice. That's not like
Which market
Yeah.
is it
That's
traded on?
the London Stock Exchange.
Um,
Okay.
Uh,
Probably. This
no.
is out of my actual expertise.
No, it's the London Stock Exchange. Was that 25 pounds or 25 like US dollars?
Doesn't say.
I'm gonna say probably.
Mm.
I'm gonna go with pounds since I this is on the.
Oh,
Uh,
there is a pound symbol later in the page, so let's go with pounds.
let's go with pounds. Um,
Been up and down. It's gone up as high as 28.13. It's peaking ish around 25. It's been staying steady there for the majority of the year.
None of the thing as well is they didn't really take more money, which if I gather that correctly, they didn't actually take more money. Uh,
I'm going to contest that.
oh really? Did they take
Well,
money?
I've been looking at this document while you've been talking. Cash flow from financial activities went up from 600,000 from December 2013 to
Right?
5.8 million December 2014. You can't tell me they raised that themselves. For a
Wait,
company
it
losing
says that,
1.6 every year, they just jumped by 5.8.
but they also said they had a net cash amount at the very beginning. The highlights 4.68 million was there from around December.
Is the
Uh,
closing cash.
oh, this closing cash.
Remember, they're operating at about a 1.6 million deficit per
Yeah, the
year.
deficit per year.
Somehow, they raised 5 million last year.
Okay, so they did come in. Obviously, they probably went for shareholders asking for money at the beginning, or well, obviously for the major investment into the View Arena.
Just as net cash from financing
Yeah.
activity.
Okay. So okay, for financing activities, that means then yes, that means they went to got more money. So I think it's interesting to see uh, companies in esports. A lot of companies, I guess, has to take. I don't want to say venture capital because I don't know if it's venture. It could just be private money. It could be. It could
I
be.
suspect it's private
I
money.
think it's
Like
private money.
investor money.
Like it's like someone like. I don't think it's venture capital because you would hear about that. This is probably someone who's like, I got 8 million to spare. Here's 4.
No, the first comment on Reddit is, well, okay, the second comment is Gfinity will never go under. They were basically a passion project of a bunch of rich dudes in London. I don't know if they give a bleep if it makes money. So it's probably, yeah, funded from somebody's
Yeah,
pockets.
I did see that. And I read a lot of the stuff from the CEO of Gfinity. And I don't know if he's a founder, but I'm gonna make a little bit of a jump and say that he might be a founder as well as he is the CEO. That yeah, there's already there's a good amount of cash from people who are just on this private sector. So um, it's interesting. I'd like to see a North American esports company on the stock exchange. I would like to be able to get an opportunity to. We don't get this opportunity to really dig into it. MLG, they when
Closed
they
book.
very close book, very close book. Only time you hear about what's going on in MLG financials is when they raise a new series of funding, and then
10
that's
million,
the
15
10
million.
million, 15
Yeah.
million. Go back to the water, go back to the wells, drink some more, and one of the key things we always need to remember when it comes to venture capital funding is when people invest in with venture capital, the idea and the concept is they want you to sell that one day so that they can get that money back. Like this is not
Mhm.
like they're not giving you that money because they love you. They're giving you that money because they want you to sell it. This company needs to
Oh,
get
that
sold.
was only the world.
Let's give you the money because they think you're cute. They're like, oh, you're a cutie. Here's 10 mil. No, they expect for someday as an owner, you'll sell it. You'll sell this
Mhm.
company and they'll get their money back. So
Mhm.
Even
the
if it just turns a profit, like there's usually an interest factor on this. Like I'll give you 4 million, 20% interest over 5 years or something stupid. and then either you sell the company or you give me my money back. So everything has a time limit. Everything has a
The thing
timer.
is, no, that when you venture capital, you're not gonna get that money back. Like you're not gonna get that money back from the people. Like if you venture capital, you resolve yourself to know that if this company goes under, then your money's going with it. Like no one's paying you back a dime, right?
Bankruptcy laws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then money's gone down. But you also have the expectation that also you lose like if you're an owner of this company, like the person originally, you obviously dilute your shares and you dilute your control, and the more people you add to your board, right? So it's one of those things where you're like, okay, you hope that someone's gonna if someone comes and exits, like if you know an exit comes, you're gonna make their money back. That's the key of it. So who knows? Or you go public. I should like that's another option. I should mention it. With venture
Aren't they
capital.
already public?
Well, these guys are public. But I'm talking about like MLG, right? If MLG goes public and they sell the shares to the public, then you can get those. You can get your money back there as well. So those relay some of those options there. Let's move.
Shall we move
Yeah,
on?
let's move along to the next part of the notes.
Yay!
Yay! Oh, Canada.
Canada!
Yes. So, oh, Canada is a segment we highlight some interesting things going on in Canada, and because Canada doesn't get a lot of love, and this time all the members of this podcast are currently Canadian. Woo,
Woo!
woo. We're gonna give
Where's
Canada
my
a little bit
flag?
of. You
Somewhere.
don't. Where's your flag? The one that
My-
you never got signed and set up?
I have it signed
Oh,
in my closet.
wasn't it supposed to be given to people?
No, this one's mine.
Rude.
Awkward.
So let's
Anyways.
start. So first off, Battlegrounds set to stream live in Canada.
Yes.
So Red Bull.
This is taking place at the Real Sports Bar in Maple Leaf Square, Toronto. You can get there by taking the GO train,
Not
and
just
it's like
Toronto.
5 minutes away from Union. Well, I'm talking about the Toronto one in specific.
Oh, this is O Canada, not O Toronto.
Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, all having these big events. But I mean, this is like the new Hockey Night in Canada.
You know what I think is really weird though? It was why Canada? Like not that I
Well,
mind.
because
but
we have Red Bull Canada, right?
that's
No other company
fine.
has a Canadian company that's an esports company aside from the Score that's in Canada and the States. ESL is in California and New York, but they don't quite make it into Canada.
But,
You know what I
okay,
mean?
So,
So then they have their events, one off here and there. Whereas Red Bull is already in Canada, you just have to move people like down the street to like set up the venue, right?
we're not like Vancouver. Like they have Vancouver and Montreal. I'm assuming we're gonna take the leap out there that there's an office in all three of these cities. Is that
I
what
would
we're
assume
assuming?
so.
Is that what we're making?
Let's
the
Google it right now.
And you Google that.
Probably not a bad leap.
I know there's a Toronto office.
There's a Vancouver office. It's in the beverage, or sorry, is it beverage? Wrong thing. It's in Vancouver.
What their other office?
Yep, and the other one is in Montreal.
Ah,
Actually,
there
it
you
looks
go.
like it's right
Oh.
by where Landing TS was.
well, NETS was down.
By the university?
Yeah. So NETS was downtown, so that would make sense. That would have
Curious that they're not a sponsor of EGS, even though they're just down the road.
What, Red Bull?
Yeah.
Well, just
Anyways,
like one
up.
quick look at the map, it looks like it's right in their area.
Balls was.
Surprised you could find a
sponsor.
map. I just go to contact and it's just a bunch of images.
What for? ETS?
Yeah. No. For Red Bull.
Oh, Red Bull. So basically, what we're looking at here is pub stomps at what is it? What's the actual place called in Toronto? Is Real Sports?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have never.
It-
There you
it's
go.
called Real Sports as a bar.
To be
All right.
fair,
There's-
this has been around for like quite some time.
It's like one of the.
It's
biggest
where a lot of
bars, isn't
people,
it?
yeah, a lot of people go here to watch like World Cup and things like that are going on.
I think that it's I think it's really. Yeah, there's a joke in there somewhere. I like the word real sports, and we're gonna watch esports. And I feel like there's a joke somewhere in there when we go there and be
Come
like,
watch esports at the Real Sports Grill.
Well, I feel like if the esports bars were open, like the two that are opening up in Toronto, those could have been a possibility for this event.
I think that's a huge loss on their part. I feel that
Yes.
these esports bars are gonna miss. I don't. I heard that Meltdown isn't may not even be open until August,
Oh wow.
which is frightening. That's like really really.
Just in time for Dota.
Well, that's the thing though. I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna make it in time for the international.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, there's
So
still more than just the international.
no, but like if you think
Those
about
are the big like summer
Yeah,
events,
yeah.
exactly, I
right?
was gonna say like if you think about it in terms of revenue and matching your stuff, like those are the kind of things where you're like, this is gonna help me make it into the black by the end of the year, right? Because
Right.
esports is gonna slow down soon, like November, December, like
Yeah, like
BlizzCon.
December's typically dead unless it's like
BlizzCon's
IEM
probably
San Jose.
like basically BlizzCon is your last kind of
Yeah.
Raw.
thing.
I mean, unless IEM has a tour somewhere, which they did after
MLG.
BlizzCon.
Yeah, but no one. I don't think really people get like it's. I don't think those are the ones that people get a lot of people together. Like you're gonna get people together for for some CS:GO finals, from some ESL ones and stuff like that. But like there are certain events that you get a lot of people. Like
Hmm.
like the internationals
Yes.
fill these bars, right? You're gonna get filled for the internationals. BlizzCon will probably fill. Like if you buy a virtual ticket, can you imagine if you buy a
Didn't you do a bar craft for Blizzard's
no,
events
that's
before?
okay. So we never did any bar crafts because they used to be done in the city by another organization, and
Oh, okay.
then I completely forgot about it, and people were in asking
Good
things
job.
like, "Well, you know what? We don't do, we don't like it's not our thing." But then I realized that eventually the org stopped doing it, and there's no more bar crafts in Toronto. So I've committed at least to doing BlizzCon and the international, but we won't on a regular do
No LCS.
no.
Well, soon I feel like once those bars have opened up, no one would have to even organize these pub stomps or bar
But
crafts
is
because it'll just be you just go.
that's the thing though, right? Isn't that what the
That's the pull, but that's for events, right?
right?
But otherwise, it's like, oh, LCK is on. I'm gonna watch it if they have the
No,
bar
but
open
like
at that
but
time.
like if you think about it,
LCK at 3 a.m. Yeah, come on in. Have a pint.
if you think
We're
about it though,
24/7.
if you think about it though, isn't that like what people do currently for regular sports, traditional sports, like
Hmm.
yeah, what's that one that human cockfighting, UFC. Like
All
people.
right. Go with that.
Yeah, I heard that even the fight on Saturday,
Oh, the
a lot
boxing
of
one, man.
a
The
lot
Hugging
of
Fest?
restaurants
Yeah.
had a $10 cover or something.
$10 cover?
Yeah.
Cashing in.
Oh my
Cashing in.
goodness.
So a lot of my
Gotta get that
friends
pay-per-view back.
ordered it. Like I was at my cousin's birthday party, so we ordered it for the birthday party. But a lot of my other friends were like trying to organize themselves, and they're like, "Yeah, no, we're just gonna order it at home because by the like, if all of us go, we're gonna be paying the same amount." If
I was actually gonna bring up a point. I didn't know how to spin it into the show, but like I feel like do you think we could have probably used the same kind of hype boxing uses in like esports? I feel like we
Oh,
could
God, no.
you
do
know
you have like a rivalry yet?
I feel like we like there was a lot of hype around this fight and I watched it. I
I
was
don't
giving
know
my
why.
that's what
It was
I
terrible. Hype be
but
damned.
but did you see the stadium? It was ridiculous. Like it was crazy packed.
Hmm.
Like it
Yeah.
was disgusting packed. And one
And it
thing
was delayed even because people were buying it.
what I
Like,
didn't understand is how do you like I thought they would put a big jumbotron so you could watch what was happening if you were in the
No, of
nose
course not.
section. No, that's not a thing. Like I don't understand. You sit in this like nosebleed section, which probably cost you somewhere between like $2,000. This is like you did not get into those seats cheap. I promise you. And I was watching because I was watching on Snapchat of all things, and
Technology.
I was like, wow, you really can't see anything. He looks like an ant.
Mhm.
So when do
Well, it's
we?
like you go to a zoo or sorry, a circus. Um, I don't think circuses use jumbotrons either, even if you're in like the nosebleeds.
Uh, that's a good question. Circus du Soleil. No, I was gonna say
Not
maybe.
circus. Yeah, well, even Cirque du Soleil, they don't have jumbotrons.
Okay,
Well, yeah, but they also are in a tent.
but like,
Unless you're at Cobb's Coliseum, and then
okay, but when do we get to charge $2,000 for a ticket? When does that happen in esports? When does this like? That's what I mean. When does this hype? Because you know why
Not that
you charge $2,000
when.
for a ticket? Because it was hype. The hype was so much that you could charge 2K for a ticket, and people would be like, "I need that ticket. That's cheap."
yeah.
Eh, it. We shouldn't ever get to that
You
point.
think so?
My personal,
I
no,
don't.
no,
Oh, I don't.
we shouldn't because that's dumb. Two
Oh,
thousand dollars for our demographic? Come on,
I don't
who
think.
has that
So.
money?
Well, like, okay, even a concert ticket, you can, like, I'm just gonna use Drake, because my friend is
I
telling
see
me
that
that like
smile.
tickets in the front were like 2,000,
Ugh.
but
No,
then like
no. See,
tickets towards the back were like 60 still. But you have the jumbotrons there, so you don't even care almost at that point.
Okay, so exactly. So this is the thing that I wanted to bring up, and I didn't know how to spin it into our show because this is the type of topic that we should cover. But when you have something like that, the hype and the mayhem rises, it raises the value of the live event. And I don't think as organizers or, like of esports in general, we capitalize on that. And this is, I'm going to get crucified. Please put your pitchforks away. I know I'm not trying to like strangle esports, but you think about how
Okay, well, at
value.
BlizzCon, the tickets are like 100 or
200.
192 or 200, whatever it is. What if they made their tickets 500? I think it would still
I think it would
sell out.
sell. I think it would sell. I don't think like I think okay, you shouldn't put it the base price maybe 500. You should have like nosebleed or whatever access for
Yeah.
$60, $70.
Well,
Whatever.
in the StarCraft, the arena that they had StarCraft, if you didn't have a BlizzCon ticket, you could buy like the upper ring tickets, and those were only like $30.
Okay, so buy virtual
But then
spaces.
you
Like
you
let's
couldn't get into like the rest of the venue. You could only be in the upper part of the arena.
and I think that there's a level thing certain when you come to access, when you add access into things, it makes things a bit more special, in my opinion. Let me put an example. Let's actually segue into the next O Canada segment. WCS is coming to Toronto.
Woo!
But this is
Uh-huh.
something. This is something I have a gripe with, and some people are going to hate it, but some are going to love it. All the maximum ticket is $25 for
For 3 days
for 3 days
or
of
10
of
for one.
StarCraft 2 World Championship. So to
Affordable.
me, oh, that
I
you know
had to pay 15 to go to Mixmaster.
you know what?
And I wasn't even a player. I was a spectator.
So
So
okay, so that's what I mean. So $15 for a Smash tournament, as a spectator, $25 for the World Championship season finals of StarCraft. $25 for 3 days. Like I don't want to hate it because that to me is like, oh man, I can just go there and just buy 25 like 3 days of content.
buy it for your mom or your dad.
You just like climb in your windows and get WC tickets out, right? WCS tickets out. But the question is like, doesn't that devaluate WCS?
I don't think so because
I
I feel like okay, ESL is probably like covering some sort of a cost so they can keep the ticket price low for you.
But okay, but even that's the case though. You think about there are people who do want a premium experience. They want to pay $50 so that they can have comfortable chairs. They can have their seating is reserved so they don't have to fight. Like when I went to WCS NASL's WCS finals, those seats got snatched up so quick.
Yes, the ones in the
Oh
front,
my
right?
god, yes.
You had a
And
yellow
yes,
wristband or
and I
something?
lost my mind because I'm like, listen, these are okay, so I didn't pay
But
for it,
even
but I still
then,
had the wristband.
yeah.
And it's like, all
I
right,
didn't even pay for them.
that's not the point though. The point is I had the wristband, so I was owed VIP
Oh,
ticket seats.
Yeah.
So if I had paid for it, I would have been cheesed and I'd have been all over Reddit. I'd be like, listen here, I totally paid for your VIP ticket seats, and I had to pay. I had to
well,
sit in some random
people
seat.
did that.
Oh yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. But that's what I mean. Like, but people want it. Like
Hmm.
I want it.
Like a
I
reserved
a
section.
reserve set. Not even like that. Like you want stuff. You want to pay $50, $75. I want to get close to my favorite player, and I want to sign my mouse pad. I want to be first
Yeah.
in line. You know who does that really well? Fan Expo. Fan Expo will drain you dry, but you'll get a good lot of stuff from it. You'll pay $90 to get into that place, but you will
Mhm.
get a crap load of stuff,
It's
right?
Well,
113.
Oh my gosh. But you know what? But no one complains about it because like people who pay for it, they're like, sweet, I get to skip the lines. All right, I'll pay $130. I got $130 to spare,
Yeah.
right? So
so again, problem with all this line of thinking is that the demographic has to be able to afford this stuff. If you create all this space and then you sell none of those tickets, you could have easily just sold that space at regular price.
So then what you
Now-
could do what TD does at concerts and do like random draws of like, oh, you get an upgraded ticket for free.
No, the thing is, we're not into
That would be great.
we're not in 2006 anymore. I think we're in this part where esports like
You save your money for this event, like you save your
That's
money for
me.
concerts.
like when I go like for Anime North, I used to when I was like I didn't make any money, but I would save every penny I could have, like so I could pay for Anime North, and I would spend like $300 on there at that I'd pay to go to Anime North, and I'd buy as much crap as I could carry home. Right?
Was that before you could shop online?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Way before then. Way before then. Like I've been going to Anime North for quite some time, but I'm just saying is that I think we shouldn't underestimate our demo. I think that
Yeah.
the demo, like you say that we think that they'll have a lot of money, or we don't have a lot of money, but we have a lot of money for the things we care about.
Yeah.
Like,
well, another thing is at Nasal,
I like how you call
the
it.
players were. I always like I call it yeah, whatever. So anyways, Nasal, they had like the players restricted from the audiences. You had to line up to get a signature. Whereas at IAM, the players were floating around like freely, or you could even go up to the back, which was kind of revealed, and be like, yo, can you sign my mouse pad? And it was more community focused, I'd say.
Well, I think that's definitely something that's like
So like if you take that model and you're like, I want my thing signed by this person, it's like, well, that person might be prepping for something. They don't have a section of like, this is my autographing time where I'm doing XYZ, because it takes away that, oh, I get to wander as I want freely.
I think there's a level where some players do like that. Like some players like to interact with their fans at any time point of the day. Some players only want to interact with their fans at a certain time because they want to focus on winning the tournament. Like, have you ever walked up to a player who's about to play next and ask him to sign your autograph? They're not too happy. Like I've watched it happen. Like, or if you walked up a player after they just lost.
Yeah.
Like I've watched. Like Snoot is probably renowned for it. That he's like, please just I just lost, or I can't really talk to you right now, just because it's emotionally draining, I imagine, right? So
Yes.
I imagine players prefer to have, or I would assume might prefer to have a set time where they do what they need to do. Well, so I don't know.
As a last point to this,
Yeah.
I would rather keep underestimating the fan base than overestimating, because that way you're still at least making money and showing you have the numbers. If you ramp up from there, that's fine. But comparing this to a fight with international millionaire celebrities buying $2,000 fights, I'm sorry, but like most of these players, they're in school, they have jobs, they save up their pennies to come here once. It's a very different demographic. Will esports ever get $2,000 tickets? Maybe, if our demographic changes, if the minimum wage, exponentially increases. Who knows? But I would rather sell all my seats at $25 than set aside like $500 seats and nobody buys one.
Mm-hmm.
They'll find a balance
eventually.
eventually.
There's a balance, but I think the main point is, or at least I'm going to point is that I think there should be premium seats at any.
I want a goodie bag. I'll put in
Oh.
the extra 25 for some stuff.
But you can't expect that across the board. Like,
that
you won't get
Yeah.
your target demographic
Well,
buying those.
You would have like, this is all just like floating numbers until the actual like event is in place. Then you could be like, okay, well, we got to section out this part for that seating reservation. But it's like the online numbers will tell you that and help you make those adjustments as needed. If like next to none sell, then like your section is smaller.
I think
right?
you could probably just give it away at that point. You'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, no one bought it. Rip these spaces.
But again, those could have been $25 chairs.
It's true. It's true.
But then it's like that, let's say like 10 people paid into that, just set their 10 seats aside. They get a different experience from everyone else because they want that experience, and you just cater to them specifically for those components.
So yeah,
I think we're getting better, but it'll take some time.
I think so too.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm going to bring up, and I haven't got a chance to do. We're gonna just before we jump into the final thoughts is, I'd like to see the seating system improve in esports events.
Like reserve
Plastic
your
chairs?
spot.
Just like oh my god, these folding chairs rip my back. Oh my god, rest in peace, pieces my back. I do know that some of the other like the American events and the European events do happen in theaters, so kudos to that. But for some reason, at least the Canadian ones, um, you
They
know,
hurt.
they hurt. Oh, actually, you know what? Before we jump into the final thoughts, there was something that was interesting. It wasn't even on my run sheet, and I must have forgotten.
Speaking
But
of theaters,
speaking of theaters, what a great segue! Holy smack! If any of you guys in Canada went to the Avengers 2, I'm going to assume it's only in Cineplexes, and I really don't know where else you would watch it. There was an there was an eSports commercial before your movie. So
Of what?
all work, all play.
all work,
The
all
Cloud9
play.
movie.
The Cloud, like I actually was surprised that they made a movie specifically only about Cloud9, or is it? It's ESL. It's ESL featuring Cloud9.
They were following Cloud9, but like it's obviously of
I
whatever.
don't know anything about like
Okay.
I'll admit I'm not a super. I thought TSM was the one people cared about in League.
Cloud9 is a multi-game organization.
I thought aren't all
This
major esports organizations multi-game though? Isn't that like is that that's not a rare thing anymore?
well,
So
like SK Gaming doesn't have a StarCraft 2 team anymore, for example,
but they're
right?
still multi-game. They just don't do games that lose them money. Like I'm sure
Oh.
SK is CS:GO and they probably have I actually don't know what else they would have on CS. I'd imagine only CS:GO now.
I would say Cloud9 as a brand over all of their games has done phenomenally well since inception, which is only, I want to say, within the last 3 years.
So
So
Cloud9's
it's very
best well,
possible they just have a lot of money. And they just like, wow, we have the money. Let's make history here.
well,
So the Cloud9 players, so they actually premiered this at the Tribeca Film Festival in New York, and
did you go?
Cloud9's no,
Oh,
Cloud9's team was there. So on the website, it actually says that the team will be featured there,
will
but
they come here?
I don't know if they will come. So it says like featuring the players of Cloud9, but does that
Is it
mean
only Cloud9?
in person? Well, that's like the focus is on them.
When does
Right.
this movie come out?
It's
June 20
yeah,
something?
July 21st in North
July.
America. So whatever select theaters it'll be in.
I hope it comes to
And then
Netflix.
July 28th in Europe and Russia. Of course, eventually it will once you've had that pull. What was the movie that Gavin made?
Good luck, have fun.
Yeah, so like you had that draw of people that came into the premiere. And it
Well,
gives you a different experience versus, oh, here's the video link, go buy it.
you know what though? I say it's just a surprise. It's like it's kind of unfortunate that it's only League of Legends. Like I don't mind League of Legends, but I kind of would like a documentary on the other games that ESL does.
They're always filming, so they could be
I'd
working
expect to
on
see a
other stuff.
CSGO.
I expected to see us go, but it was only last year, right?
No,
So
I would
Yeah,
expect
so
to see one.
well,
Not
guys, we're in
expected.
2015 now. This is
2014
following
stuff.
2014, yeah.
Yeah.
So it actually says towards the bottom of the page, coming soon, ESL 1 Cologne Counter-Strike Global Offense Finals Live August 23rd. So never know,
There you
that
go.
could be like bits
a
of
tie-in.
yeah. Yeah. But I mean like it could lead to like a documentary.
So yeah, that's definitely very interesting. So you get a little bonus if you are somebody who gets to watch the Avengers 2. Rip that movie though. Some people
In
didn't like it.
Toronto though, I guess, because if I watched it here in Hamilton, would I get that commercial as well?
Yeah, well, as long as you watch it in a Cineplex, not if you watch it at that Rainbow Theater, whatever it is at Jackson Square.
Empire?
Empire, that's the thing. I don't, I don't know. I called it the Rainbow Theater, but I'm pretty sure it's only the Cineplexes that are featuring it.
Well, no, we have Cineplex.
Do you have Cineplex in
Lancaster,
Hamilton? Do you guys
Hamilton.
have running water?
Yes.
Wow.
Quiet you.
I'm kidding.
Anyways, but I'm wondering, like, do I get those commercials as well here? Because
Yes,
Toronto is a different market.
No, you guys, Hamilton.
Cineplex is a
But
brand. though.
Cineplex
Yeah.
is a brand that goes all across. But
Yeah.
it's like, do you get that pull from the audience? You know what? I should actually just go watch the Avengers just to see if this happens or
I'm
not
actually
for
gonna.
me.
I'm also gonna do the same. I'm just gonna go watch the
Walks
Avengers
out at the
specifically.
beginning of the movie.
Okay, I'm done. I'm out of here.
It's like,
Bye.
oh, I got to see my commercial. Peace. I'm done.
$15 worth.
Snapchat
$15
it
worth.
to you.
Oh my God! Please Snapchat me the commercial. I would be
Oh
eternally
man.
grateful. You spend that $15 for me, and I will save it. All right, so let's move on to final thoughts. This is the section where we just wrap up everything we thought about discussing today. So, starting it off, TI5 prize pool final thoughts, Jester.
12 million. I mean,
That's it.
I
Final
want
thoughts, 12 million
I
draw.
don't want to see a bubble scenario where it's going to pop in the next few years, and then people will refuse to play for anything less than a million. That is going to
That's
really,
such a
really hurt.
dystopian future of
Yeah,
possibility.
that will hurt. So I will be cautiously optimistic at 12 million.
Final thoughts on the TI5 prize pool, Nav.
15.6 million. And yes, hopefully no bubble, but I'm just being ambitious with my numbers and I didn't want to be biased with 13.
That's
I,
not
Why don't you be
biased. You're the
13?
only one with the
I was gonna
favorite
say,
number of 13.
how would you be biased? Are you working for Valve? Is that is that,
No, because like I always say 13 to everything.
oh my God.
Confirmed. It just caps at 15.6.
And
Valve
that's it.
pockets the rest.
uh, my final
Check it.
thoughts on it is that 20 million. I believe 20 million is where we'll go. I personally would like to see it reach a point where it's 20 million, which is pretty much a gap, like a huge gap from any other esport, unfortunately for the others.
10
um
million's a huge gap.
it's so true, but I think that's a level of which others will try to aspire to. At the same time, I think I would like to see how that model evolves, because I agree, I think it's not, I don't think it's sustainable in the long run, but I think there will have to be a transition because you can only go so far with that. So let's go. Final thoughts on Gfinity's interim financials. Nav, take it away.
Well, if their stock prices are good, maybe I should buy some and put my RSPs to good use, which probably actually only apply to the Canadian market, but we'll
I think
see.
maybe you could buy it.
I do like the idea of like the publicly traded companies because it makes the realm of esports more serious, and then you can have like bigger players investing into these companies as well.
Final thoughts on Gfinity's interim financials, Jester.
The transparency is nice. The accountability is nice. It's a publicly traded company, which means that it is out there as a real business. I think a lot of that comes together to give legitimacy to what it's trying to accomplish. It's not there yet as like a sustainable model as their numbers have shown, but I think it's a good step. I'd like to see more of that.
Mm-hmm.
My final thoughts. I think it's very interesting that Gfinity being public is actually displaying, having to display their numbers. It makes transparency be the key. Like we have, a more open, transparent esports, and you get to see the nuts and bolts of what's going on in the company. Um, you know what? I too would like to buy stock in in a publicly traded esports company. It does worry me a little bit that the way companies in esports are grown, and it's not even just esports in general, just sort of tech companies and venture capital and all these kind of. I feel like there's this inflation of where you put a lot of money in and then it's all about that return where you have to sell it, or whatever happened to the apple pie businesses where you grow it all from bootstrap it from cash. Where are those? Obviously not in esports.
How about
Uh,
Kickstarter?
I guess Kickstarter. That's a hardy point right there. So you do get to keep it at the end. You just keep the money and just do whatever, right? No one gets a piece of
You
your
have
company.
responsibilities.
Oh.
You can't just take it and run.
True fact. You just pocket the money. And you're like, "Oop, sorry, suckers. Esports company funded, gone. Peace."
Unfortunately, that kind of is the story of esports time and again.
I think that's actually just Kickstarter. I feel like that's a Kickstarter thing where people are like, "Oh, in my pocket, see ya, suckers." I don't know what you kickstarted, but you got air.
Woo.
Yeah, no, I like to see um other models. Like I'm really interested to see G Infinity's strategy with the theater. I want to see if that's gonna work. I think it's
Yeah.
really good. I think it's a good strategy, but I don't know. Is that profitable? Will people constantly go to this because they do everything like every month? I think they have some sort of finals happening at this theater,
Yeah.
which is different. If you think about everybody is like Travel Circus, they're one spot right in London. Final thoughts on this pub stomps.
I think it will be cool. I might actually go check it out. How about you guys?
I will send Tamir in my place.
I will send nobody in my place.
But there'll be lots of pictures. Final thoughts on WCS tickets and a little bit, I guess, premium tickets. Jester.
I like the idea of premium, but you got to keep those prices down, at least for the foreseeable future.
Is it because you don't want to spend
Enough people
$2,000?
complain about BlizzCon at $200, and
Do
like
they?
I have a full-time job. I can't say the same for a lot of the friends that I play around with online. They're
Well, a lot of
students,
those
they're
people are
part-time,
also
they got
flying in.
loans, debts. Yeah, I mean, oh god, airfare is just a nightmare as it is. So yeah, flight, hotel, tickets, swag,
That swag.
prices for our demographic can't ever reach that $400 million fight level.
Mm,
It just can't.
Take my Taylor Swift dollars. For
final
premium.
thoughts on premium tickets, Nav? Or
Um,
WCS, sorry. WCS/premium tickets.
I think it's like it gives the person a different experience. Like when you see a big concert like Taylor Swift,
That Taylor Swift concert.
like I'm sure people have the hesitation. They're like, maybe I should put in an extra 50 and get a different experience versus like my base $150 type of ticket, right? So it gives them a different feel. You're closer to where to the performer, and if it's about like the aura or the of
The
the
atmosphere.
venue, yeah,
Yeah.
then if that's important to you, then you would be the type of person to put more towards your ticket.
Okay, that's actually some good points. I like that. My final thoughts on it. I think esports is entertainment, no matter what, and like entertainment, it should fall in line with other entertainment forms like concerts, live performances, uh, seminars. I guess I don't know if this is really an entertainment platform, but you have
A panel,
or a panel. Okay, you
yeah.
have different tiers of pricing in those things, and I'd like to see. I'm very disappointed personally that WCS didn't have a premium ticket. Whether or not I would have paid for it, I would have still gotten access to it somehow. That's relevant, but that premium experience I think is special. And I think it could add an other layer of experience to an esports event, and I'm
Yes.
a little sad that you don't get that opportunity from ESL, and I think it also cheapens the event by having it $25 flat, like that's it. I think for the finals, the championship of StarCraft at $25, like there are cons that are less than 25 or more than $25. So, anyways, that's it. Did we cover all the items? We did.
Yes.
I don't know if we have to have a final thoughts on like the Avenger trailer. We all know. We all
Didn't see
Oh,
it.
if I go see it,
didn't
I'll
see
let.
it. That's a final thought. Everyone go see that trailer. So guys, this wraps up the end of our show. Nav, where can they find you on the interwebs?
At Navneater. If you want my other links, navneater.com, and they're all at the bottom.
Oh my God, you have a website?
Yeah, I've had it for like 3 years now. It's like my portfolio, my photo blog. It's like a catch-all, just to like things.
Gesture, do you have a website? Is it
I do, but I'm not
fullpurpose.ca?
giving it to you.
Mine's in my Twitter, so like if you follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen it in my bio.
Is it forecastgesture.ca?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Actually, I think I know what it is. It's the end of your email, but that's funny.
Yeah, you've seen it.
I've seen it. That Sean, where can they find you on the interwebs?
Well, it's always happy to be talking about esports on a weekly basis, but if you need me next time, find me out there: Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, with more than 1 minute notice. That'd be great. At Forecourt Jester.
I wonder if you can beat that record and make it like 30 seconds next time.
30 seconds to live. Let's see if Jester's around. Yeah, because the hermit lives alone.
Hey, you didn't mind. You're You're probably eating noodles, ramen.
You're close. Either way,
Either way.
people can find me streaming this weekend for Gosu Cup. So you can find me.
Oh, Heroes of the Storm.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Nick, awesome. So, guys, you can find me at Draconis, officially on everything on the interwebs. I've started using Snapchat again, so you start using find me there. Um, you can follow ESchamp on also on everything. Finally, Uniform ESchamp on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and all the and Instagram. Oh, actually, except Instagram, it's not ESchamp on Instagram.
Because ESchamp
Yep,
has it.
Eric Champ
Champ.
stole ESchamp. But
Is
Because
everything else,
Champ.
ESchamp TV on there.
yeah. So everything else is at ESchamp. Also, guys, I want you to tweet at me. I have a big important question to ask you. I've got some feedback that some people have actually wanted to hear the Any Key as an audio podcast.
Haven't
I
done
want
that yet.
no, actually, honestly, the Any Key was just supposed to be like this little thing where it's just on Twitch and just only on Twitch. But I had some people ask about can they get it? They want to listen to it on in their car, and they want to listen to it in some interesting places. So, tell me, just let me know on Twitter, what platform you listen to your podcasts on. Is iTunes the best place for you to get it? Just help me out so I know what to do first or where to prioritize, or if you just want to download the MP3. I don't know. If that's something that you want to do, just give me a shout out. Guys, until next time, I hope I can get some really awesome guests. I have some super cool things planned out for next week. Until then, guys, tune into the Any Key any Tuesday at 8 p.m. right here on ESchamp. Have a good night. Peace.